Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Young Jedi Adventure Season 2, Episode 16, the Firehawk Feud / the Chop Shop Calamity. The episode, I believe, is rated for ages 6 and up, so this video B. There will be spoilers for the show leading up to and including this episode, and potentially for everything Star Wars leading up to it as well. And I consider this another good to great episode. So I'm going to immediately recommend the following, both the YouTube video and the show it's about. I'm not really recommending for the 6-year-olds, but in case anyone, you should probably be at least a teenager, maybe even an adult. But Lady Knight the Brave did a fantastic video talking about Andor Season 2. And I think, so the first part of the episode, it's that classic thing, which I do appreciate when at least some kids media does, when you do it right, this thing of like, okay, so you don't like that person, you should still, like, if they need something, you should still help them. They do make sure that by the end, Draven does not have one of the Firehawk babies. And let's see, I have slightly mixed feelings about the fact that littering did sort of help them find Draven. Yeah. And let's see, I don't have much to say about Draven that I didn't already say in the, this is not the first episode he's in, so yeah, let's see. I did think they continue to do a really great job on the show of, like, the way that animals, natural life, like, essentially, you have the intelligent beings, some of whom choose good, others choose evil, and then you have the ones that are not necessarily, that high up, but, this is a progressive channel. I'm not Matt Walsh. I'm not going to insult someone for, he would call them low IQ, which I guess Trump would as well. In general, a lot of Republicans would. But the animals on the show so far, like, they don't behave without any sense of, like, reason. They may not understand what's going on. So, that baby is basically playing with Draven, and then the mom realizes, oh, he's a kidnapper. And, Liz manages to talk it into letting him go in exchange for him not getting a Firehawk baby. And he even says he will never return. So I guess, I don't know if that means we'll never see him again, or just, they do leave Tanu, so I can imagine they'll see him somewhere else. But yeah, and he would not have made it if not for the baby Firehawk. So yeah, really appreciate that message. And I am very impressed by how the binoculars enable, apparently not just the person looking through them, but all of them, to hear what is happening, even though they needed binoculars to be able to even see it. And I think that might just about cover, the first part of the episode. I really think it is important to teach children, the fact that you don't like someone does not mean that they should not be helped if they are in need. That is how we get far-right conservatives. And that does bring us to the second. And always enjoy Marla appearing on the show. And I did not love how Eunice feels kind of Jewish middle-aged woman coded. That's yeah. It's not like this is the first time Star Wars has done a bit of a toe dip and sometimes more into anti-Semitism. Did appreciate this thing of like, well, the Hutt is not going to accept that, because Hutts, there is a degree of fascism to them. They are dictators of their, crime lords more so than, they don't necessarily, yeah. Anyway, yeah, you know, the fact that Marla just doesn't have the part that is needed, that's not going to matter. The Hutt is not going to accept that. And let's see. Yeah, I appreciated the way that. So yeah, Romy, right. Again, I don't love that they are now having Nash call her moms her parents instead of, and in this episode we also don't see them. So if this was the only episode you watched, you would not know that her parents are a sapphic couple, which I really do think we should normalize. Like, there's nothing wrong with small children knowing, oh, hey, this kid's parents are the same gender. There's nothing wrong with that. And the idea that there is something wrong with that is part of the problem. That's why we need to normalize it. I'm not saying, like, get graphic, but like, we shouldn't get graphic about straight couples either when talking to children. So, and if you've ever watched a LGBTQ plus leftist YouTuber visit Are the Straights Okay? Off the top of my head, I think my favorite that I've seen visit that subreddit is Jammy Dodger. Right now I forget, has OT? I think maybe OT has as well. He's also great. But yeah, if you have watched one of those videos, you will see it's often straight couples who are like encouraging very small children to, yeah, going too far in that direction. It is not LGBTQ plus couples. Again, keeping it vague since, as mentioned, I'm trying to keep this video safe for 6-year-olds. But yeah, Romy, gets too eager, trying to help, and I really, and yeah, messes up, breaks the part, and spends the rest of the episode struggling to because like Romy feels guilty, and I really love when Nash says, listen, I mess stuff up as well. And right, I did also appreciate in the one more thing on the Firehawk feud. I thought it worked that I think they call her PL, the droid, going with Draven. At first she is not telling them the full truth, and that actually, somewhat hinders their ability to help. Because if she had just come out and said, yeah, we're here for a Firehawk, Liz would say, that might end badly. We have to hurry. We have, and she also knows where at least some of the Firehawks are. Yeah. And that, it can be difficult to tell the truth when you know you've done something wrong, but it is necessary sometimes. And that's another thing that's really important to teach children. And of course, there's a lot of kids' TV that does. So this is just following that tradition. I really appreciated the way that in the Chop Chop Calamity, THSC, TC, you know what? We're going to pretend I got it right instead of me embarrassing myself further by getting it wrong a third time. The, let's see. Yes, the fact that basically everyone in this episode talks to droids like they are equal to people. There's not really anyone. Maybe Draven to PL, but he's kind of rude to everyone. He's, yeah. And other than that, like the various characters, because if you haven't already watched, and this again, this recommendation is not for the 6-year-olds watching, but Pop Culture Detective made a really, really excellent video. I believe it's called The Tragedy of Droids in Star Wars. I'm afraid my wrists are too sore to look it up right now to double check, but it's something along those lines. And yeah, he points out how often they are not treated as people and dehumanized. And yeah, here, it's not the first episode to do it, but here we very much see they kind of talk to Romy like Romy is just another of the kids, and like, despite, like, if you sit down and count, like, Romy makes a number of mistakes in this episode, each time making things worse, but that's, being a human, or in Star Wars, an alien. It's okay to make mistakes. The important thing is you accept that you made a mistake and then you try to do better, and by the end, Romy did do better. They never, like, you could so easily have had a thing where, like, because, like, Nash is very anxious about this whole situation. You could easily have had Nash say something like, I should put you, crap, what are those called again? I forget those things that they put on droids to make them obey. I do not recall what they're called right now. I should watch some of the movies again soon, because it is mentioned there. Now I have an excuse. Not that I need one. Anyway, for watching them again, I mean. Yeah, so let's see. I kind of like the way that both Eunice and the good guys all use, like, misdirection. Maybe they were taught by a certain soccer coach for high school, maybe Siegfried or Roy. And the yeah, they all use misdirection in order to be able to get their hands on the accelerator, but there is a distinction of, well, the accelerator belongs to Nash, it does not belong to Eunice. And I think that does pretty much get us to the yeah, at one point they realize, the part is missing, so they go after. And the thing about, like, if you go to the chop shop by yourself, the chop shop will chop you up. Now, together, go to the chop shop, chop shop. And yeah, boy, I wish Mysteries of the Sith let you get past one of those Huttese speaking, little droid things that pop out near those doors, as it is here. And let's see, I think, yeah, so that gets them inside. And I really appreciated this message with Romy, where you have this thing of, like, basically anti-individualist, pro, like, working together. That's, again, really something we need to teach children, especially in America, where for quite some time now, individualism has been basically their primary religion. Well, I guess money is especially, but certainly above Christianity for quite a few conservatives who do not live up to the Bible. One more recommendation of a video, once again not for the 6-year-olds, but Like It or Not. Well, let's see. Like It or Not is the show. Rebecca Azor is the channel. Fantastic video talking about, let's see, I believe it was the one they did on ICE arresting journalists. And yeah, one of the contributors points out, if you are working with ICE, you are not a Christian. But that does get us to the, let's see. I feel a little bit bad for Nubs being afraid of fog. I guess he watched the John Carpenter movie. Anyway, back to Chop Chop Calamity. TCSC. There we go. And yeah, so they have to distract multiple, and they do manage to mostly get there, but Romy is a little too overeager, gets, yeah, all of them end up getting caught. We have another bit where the lightsabers on this show are very wishy-washy on what they can and cannot cut through, which it's just a little bit unfortunate. I feel like it's just, maybe especially this one, like, just have it be something that, like, I don't know. I mean, Beskar, if she's got a Beskar pipe, I don't know why she would have it, but at least that would explain it. It certainly doesn't look or sound like Beskar to me. Anyway, the door opening handle thing being, I mean, at least it is on the outside rather than the inside, but yeah. Star Wars does have a thing for making it very easy for people to reach something that will let them into a place where, or out of a place, even if it runs counter to the plans of the people who are their adversaries. And I also did feel like I mean, kids are being taught to avoid heavy things, so I guess this episode is probably not gonna, like, undo that, but it did feel interesting to me that a heavy object fell on Nash's leg, and the one thing was like, well, I can't lift this off on my own, so Romy, you have to do this, but wait for my cue. I don't know. It just felt a little bit like that's, again, something, maybe another draft of the script to just, like, because you could have had it be that Nash fell into a hole. Like, it's I believe it's Nubs who helps regardless, and whether Nubs is lifting something heavy or lifting someone out of a hole is, potato potato. And let's see, yeah, it was sweet that it ended with a big group hug. And yeah, I think that is what I have to say about this entire episode. I see it's rated a little low. It's like 5.9 on IMDb. I do appreciate, like, it is very slight, very light. Not that much to it, overall. But yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. Like, I really am not very likely to go back and do even watch shows from, like, 80s and 90s that are like Saturday morning cartoons, like anything before, I mean, really, Batman the Animated Series. If it doesn't meet that standard, I'm probably not gonna watch it. And so far for me, this show does, like, considering that it is literally for 6-year-olds, yeah, like, I remember the quality of animation and stories and such in some of those older, yeah. Right, I appreciated the part where one of them was like, what happened to the accelerator? I don't know. Accelerated?